region. And I've got some great information to share with you. A little bit of review for those of you that attended the recent trainings, and some brand new information that I think is going to really help us in increasing our enrollment this year. I've entitled this session as Better Than Before, because I believe that all of us, if we make a concerted effort, will be better than we were last year in our numbers and our presentations. Of course, by now, hopefully you have seen and even started using some of your new marketing materials. We have a new poster that hopefully you've got up at the front of your building so that everyone can see it, all the parents when they come in for Meet the Teacher and parent orientation and all those events that are starting the school year. Your poster should be displayed so that it is very visible to everyone. You have your wristbands. Remember, there are green wristbands and blue wristbands for different purposes. The green ones are for everybody in the school that is eligible to enroll in MIDI for Kids. So for most of us, that's 1st through 5th grade. Everyone should get a green wristband when you give your presentation in your classes or see the students on whatever regular basis you do. The blue wristbands are for those students who are currently enrolled in your classes. Make sure they get that blue wristband as soon as they are registered so that they can start bragging that they're in, and that's very cheap marketing for you. Should do really well for us this year. Your invited postcards. Use them. I've heard a lot of great ideas on how we can use these postcards. One of my favorite ideas is for you as the teacher to pick the students that you'd like to be in your class and handwrite a personal invitation on the back of the card and give it to them to take home, advertising your parent orientation night or giving your contact information, and just writing their name on the back and saying how much you would like for that particular student to be in your class. Use those. Remember, none of this material does any good in the box that it came in, so make sure you use it. Also on the website, don't forget that there are flyers that you can download and personalize for use on your campus. Check under the Resources tab on the MIDI website. When I was a first-year MIDI for Kids teacher, I was so excited about presenting the program to parents that came. They saw the flyers and they saw our presentation table, and they started asking questions, and boy oh boy did I start giving them all sorts of great information about the new MIDI for Kids program on our campus. And in retrospect, what I realized I had done is I was so excited that I gave some parents some information, which was really good, and then the next parent that came along, I gave them some other information that was also really good. However, I might not have given both parents the most important information because there was so much to share. And so in an effort to hone our message and to give us our most important points to share with prospective parents, we've developed what we're calling the ABCs, or those particular points that we need to make sure we cover for all the parents that are asking about our programs. Each of the letters here stands for something very important, so let's get to it. The A in the ABCs is after school. You want the parent to know that this is an after-school music program using state-of-the-art digital pianos and/or guitars and recording equipment. These are group lessons in which the children learn to read music and play by ear. The B stands for band. I teach the children how to be a part of the band by building teamwork and cooperation. They get to choose their own part, and then they learn how they fit into the music. This is a great time to draw a parallel comparing your MIDI program to a personalized one-on-one teaching situation. The C is creativity. The children create music with multiple parts and find solutions to musical problems or situations. We move, we play, we sing, we create. And the S is sign up. Give their parents the next step in the process. Send them to the website. If you'll stick to these 4 points, you'll be sure to hit those 4 most important things that each parent needs to know. Now, are there other things that parents should know? Well, sure. That's why we send them to the website. Will they ask other questions? Well, more than likely, they'll start asking you all kinds of questions. However, I want you to remember that you need your message to be concise. You need your message to hit the most important things so that they are not overwhelmed with all of the details of the program. Now, the ABCs are strictly for you and your reference. You will not tell the parents to remember the ABCs. You will not say ABCS, none of that for the parents. This is strictly a tool for the teacher to use to stay on task and to stay on target. With all the information that we could get into about how good the arts are for education and the cost of the program and the scheduling of the program, all that is important. But we don't want to overwhelm our parents with too much information. So I hope this tool really helps you. I've got a few points that I want you to remember when you're presenting to your parents. First of all, use the ABCs whenever you're speaking with parents of potential students for your program. I had an opportunity just today to speak to a parent who's thinking about enrolling her child in our public school from a private school. And she's weighing all of the things, and one of the things she was interested in was our MIDI program after school. And so I got to actually use the ABCs today on a potential client. Personalize your discussion. It's much better to say I rather than we, especially when we're teaching in a public school, or if you have a coworker. The word we can oftentimes get cumbersome. Is we referring to me and my coworker? Is we referring to me and the students? We could be a lot of different people. And it's much nicer to say, I teach and my children learn. So personalize your message. Also personally invite that student and that parent to join the MIDI for Kids class. When you say, I sure would like to have Olivia in my class, it sounds a lot better than being more general. Also, if the parent asks about cost, just tell them that the tuition is $70 a month if you decide to pay monthly, but you have options. This is something I don't even bring up unless the parent asks me. And I always like to tell them that they have options because they could choose to pay all at once or by semester. Just remember this one thing. Too much information is indeed too much information. If it sounds complicated to the parent, they will think it's complicated, and then they'll shut you out, or they'll just try to go find something that's much simpler. Let's talk about something that's simple. Well, it should be. What do you make as a MIDI for Kids teacher? Do you know what you make as a MIDI for Kids teacher? Well, we've discovered that we're missing a tool, and we've decided to provide it now. We are unveiling now the teacher pay calculator for your use. Now, what you see before you now is the keyboard version. We do have a guitar version, which I'll show you in just a moment. It looks exactly like this with a couple of differences. The thing to remember about this is if the box is in yellow, you can edit it. If it's in green, don't edit that box. It will change automatically. That's where the formulas are. We can lock the entire document, but then you wouldn't be able to edit the yellow boxes. So that's why it is not a locked document. I'm going to show you what you can do with this, but in a nutshell, your first highlighted document, highlighted cell that says $6, that's where you put your pay rate. Now, you should have received this in an email from MIDI for Kids. I believe it was the last line of a recent email. So if you're making $6 per class per student, then you'll leave it at $6. Some of you are making $6.25, maybe another rate as well. So put your rate in first. Then put your number of classes that you're teaching. In this example, the teacher is teaching 2 classes, and they have 7 keyboards. Some of you have 8 keyboards in your lab, so you'll change the 7 to the 8. The inputs total students enrolled is just what it sounds like. However many students you currently have enrolled in your classes, you stick that number in that box. So obviously this teacher has 2 classes that are full with 14 students total, and the next line is where you put your incentive number. Now remember, if you have a standard tuition contract, then you have an incentive for the 7th keyboard student or the 9th guitar student. So be sure you put that number in there. I'll show you in a minute the difference in that. The total per week amount of $102 is what you'll make if you teach all of your classes in a week. Of course, if you have to do a makeup and you drop a class for a week or so, then that number changes. But the total per week is if you teach all of your scheduled classes. Then you're going to make $3,060 in a year for those 2 classes of keyboard students. The boxes below show your potential. Now, of course, this student, this teacher in this example is earning their potential. Now, I want to show you a couple examples if these numbers change. So let's look at this example, which is actually the same one. Let's say what would happen if this teacher decided to add another class. Lots of you have taught 2 classes for a long time, and you've debated adding a class, but then you wonder if you have time for it, and is it worth the money, and all kinds of questions. So let's find out. So if you're teaching 2 classes and you decide to add a third, we're going to change that 2 to a 3, and your total per week and total per year will remain unchanged, while your potential will change as I hit return. Okay, so now since we've added a class, but we've not added any more students yet, then you're still making $102 a week, but you could be making $144 a week. Well, let's say you add that class to your schedule and you add 4 students, giving you a total of 18 students in your program. Well, now you're up to $126 a week, or $37.80 a year. You're not to your potential yet, but let's say you go ahead and get that class filled up. You're at 21 students for 3 keyboard classes. Now you're up to your potential. But wait, don't forget that now you have 3 classes with 7 students. So we're going to add number 3 right there. And what happens to that $144? Well, that goes on up to $153. Now, if you add 1 class to your schedule of 2, then you've increased your weekly income by $51. Averaging 3 classes a month, that gets you to $153 a month. That sounds pretty good, actually. You know, I was talking with my wife the other day about our girls' gymnastics classes, and I realized that 1 class added to my schedule would pay for both of my girls to take gymnastics every week. Of course, some of you may have older children who aren't into gymnastics that might get a car insurance payment, or maybe your cell phone bill, your extra line for your child's cell phone. Or heck, you could maybe put the kids with a babysitter and go out for an extra date night. Anyway, lots of stuff you can do by $153 a month. Let me show you the guitar calculator here. It's the other page. On PowerPoint, it's probably going to be down at the bottom. You'll click page 1 or page 2. On numbers, it's on the left side of your screen. So keyboard and guitar. Guitar looks very similar. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so you can, there we go. That's a little easier to see. Now let's say the guitar teacher is making $6.25. So we're going to make it $6.25 per class per student. So instead, now this is 2 classes of 9 students. 14 students, that's not 2 full classes. So we have only 1 class with the incentive. Right now, the potential pay is $35.10 at $6. At $6.25, it's up to $36.37, so a little incentive there. The guitar calculator works exactly the same way. The numbers are just a little different because there are 9 students per class. And total classes, instead of 7 or 14, would then go to 9 and 18. So let's put it at 18, and now we have 2 full classes. So instead of just making $121 a week, now we're making $130 a week, $3,900 for having 2 full classes. I think you can see right away how useful this tool can be for you to see how valuable is it to add that 1 more student. Let's do that one example before I leave this calculator alone. All right, we're at $3,900 right now for 2 full classes. Well, let's say we have a student that drops out. Oh my. Okay, so now we're down to 17 students. We go from 3,900 to 37, but we don't have 2 full classes anymore, so we lost that incentive for 1 class, and we're down to $34.50 a year. So, you know, as a MIDI for Kids teacher, going on 8 years, I think it is now, I'm really seeing the benefit of having that extra student in my class. To have that full class and the bonus is a pretty significant amount that I could really put to use here in my family. I hope this tool really works well for you. It should be coming out to you very soon, or maybe even with the notice of this presentation. But I definitely want you to use it, play with it, and see what you can do with it. Just keep in mind that we want to be better than we were before. So do your best, increase your enrollment, and we'll see you soon.